Do you want to know something really funny? I'm recording this first podcast of January. I really wanted to talk about the importance of not rushing into getting back into work. If you are a creative and you work for yourself, you're freelance, and January is quite often very quiet, don't feel you have to rush into planning the whole year. You don't have to hit the ground running. You don't have to hustle, hustle, hustle. Let's just say I'm really struggling to get going with this podcast recording, and I am just in hibernation mode. I am just not firing on all cylinders. And I know it's the 9th of January and I probably should be, but actually I had a crazy Christmas, absolutely crazy. We had people in hospital, we had everyone going down with that lurgy. Even myself, I was in bed for 2 days. I'm never so ill I'm in bed. My husband was in bed for 6 days and is a month later is still only just recovering. It's a really horrible, it's wiped everyone out. I know so many people who had it then or have got it now. And it just reiterates the whole don't feel you have to rush to get back into the swing of things. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to be referring to my lovely notes because they are big and juicy and have got all the details in, and I don't want to miss anything out because I'm very good at that. I do love a clipboard, as you probably well know. So let me talk about, actually, I'm going to share a little disclaimer first. Not a disclaimer, a hands up. Let me just put my hands up and say, I do know that I share a success planner every January. This is the first one in many years I haven't done that. To be honest with you, you can always use a previous one if you're part of the Interior Stylists community on Inside Stylists. But my success planner is all about doing the things I'm saying don't do. But I put it out, and I put it out, normally I try and put it out before January the 1st, because some people have more time during Twixtmas, so between Christmas and New Year they might have some downtime, they might not be travelling between families, or they might just have lots of movie time. Other people are raring to go in January and want to do planning but don't necessarily want to get going. Really, I just want to serve my members and make sure that they have what they want when they need it. And if they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it. I always, always, always say, this is for you for when you are ready. Do not feel like you have to go and hit the ground running. It's January. Let's plan for world domination. That's not what I say. I just say, here's the planner. Now, I haven't done one this year, probably because I had such a full-on Christmas, and I just decided not to. I decided I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stay in hibernation mode as long as I possibly can. And after recording this video, that might not be a bad thing. So I want to talk about the benefits of starting a slower pace. There's all sorts of reasons to do this. I try not to rush into anything big. I really feel the benefit, and I'm sure quite a lot of people who are freelance and work from home feel this. I feel the benefit of everyone going back to work. I like it when the doors are closed and suddenly it's quiet and it's just me and the dog and a cup of coffee, and I can just have quiet. I think that's what it is that there's so much going on over Christmas and New Year, and it's lovely. It's really fabulous to see family and friends and catch up with people. And I had all my girls, all my girls, all two of them. I had both my girls home at the same time for a full week. Unfortunately, because my husband was so ill, we didn't really get to do anything as a family, which I hate. We'd normally go down to the beach, or we'd go for breakfast or for dinner, but it just didn't happen this year, and I hate that. But once everybody's gone and it's quiet, I can have some thinking time, because that's what you need. I always think there's certain times of the year you really need a break in the summer, and you really need a break at Christmas, because that's a really nice way of kind of 6 monthly stopping and having time to think. Because the longer you have to think, and for me, I'm not very good at it, but I need to get bored. I need to have so much quiet time and downtime that I'm bored, because when I get bored, I do lots of thinking. It's a bit like if you're on a dog walk, or if you're in the shower, you can't have anything else going on really. So you get the best ideas then. It's a little bit like that. You need the constant people, the constant visits, the Christmas and the barrage of TV and all of that to go. So you have lots and lots of downtime to think about it. So that is what I like to do. I like to start really slow, and I like to start with reflecting. So I'm sure you've heard this before, but for me, there's two areas. I like to think about work and I like to think about my personal life because they're completely intertwined. One doesn't work without the other. And for me, I mean, last year I did a whole lot of traveling for both. I was very fortunate. We had a really big year last year. We had 18th birthdays, 21st birthdays. We had 25th wedding anniversary. I don't know how that happened because I am the oldest 21-year-old, you know. So we've been married 25 years. I will talk about that in a minute. And there was just lots of celebrations. My dad turned 81, not 80. But anyway, there were lots of celebrations. So there was lots of reasons to go out and celebrate and go away. We tend to go away rather than have big parties and things. So when I reflect, I look through, for work, I look through my calendar. I look through the shoots I did. I look at the clients I worked with, where they took me, the ones I really enjoyed, the ones I didn't enjoy. Was there anyone who I really don't want to work with again? Is there anyone I wanted to work with and it fell through, or I hadn't approached them, or what happened during work? I reflect on how I felt throughout the year. And by the time we get to December, I've pretty much forgotten what happened in March. I've forgotten what happened in February. It's quite quiet for stylists and quite a lot of our industry early in the year. So I can't remember what I did in January last year. I really can't. So reflecting on the work is really good. And also I quite like to reflect on the people I didn't enjoy working with. So if I'm in a position to say, okay, that person was a nightmare. A couple of years ago, I had someone didn't pay me fully. I reflected on that and thought, there's no way in hell I'm going to work with that person again. And I'm sure the photographer won't either because he was horrible. Things like that. If you reflect on things like that, you really have, you can kind of go from a stronger place. You can think in terms of how I want my 2025 to go. These are the things I do want to do, and these are the things I don't want to do. When it comes to personal reflection, I like to look back through my photos. And if you're a stylist or a photographer, the chances are you have millions and millions of photos on your phone. I have something like 27,000 photos on my phone. It's no wonder I can't download apps anymore. So because it was our 25th wedding anniversary, we were actually planning on going to Venice. And then I kind of changed my mind and my husband booked us a weekend in the Pig in Devon. Now, the Pig Hotel, I have wanted to go there for a really long time. I got introduced to it on a shoot about 4 or 5 years ago. And I don't even remember mentioning it to my husband. And he's not a particularly romantic person. He just phoned me one day and said, I've booked our anniversary weekend. We're going to the Pig in Devon. And I was like, fantastic. I was very excited, very excited. But we arrived in the evening and we kind of researched where was really good to eat. So we wanted to have our main anniversary meal in the Pig. So when we arrived the night before, we went and found a local pub that had really good fish and chips. And it was really good fish and chips. So we hadn't really seen the restaurant or the dining room or anything like that at night time. We went straight to our rooms, which was outside. We were in the stables. So we were outside of the main hotel. So the next morning we walked in, and now we're very early risers. So we were first into the dining hall. I think literally they were only just finished setting tables and things up. And being the rather emotional person that I am, and being so excited to be there and so grateful to be there, you walk through the door and you turn left to kind of the kind of continental buffet sort of thing. And then if you want a cooked meal, obviously they take your order. So you walk in left to go and do the food, and you turn right to go into the dining room. So my husband turned left to go and get a juice or whatever, and I turned right, and I just stood there and just looked at this incredible dining room. Now, I have actually done a blog post and I've done a video of our trip because I just needed to have a record of it because it was so amazing. So I will share the link to that so you can see what I'm talking about. But I walked into this dining room, no one else in there, and I just started crying. I got so emotional. And even talking about it now, I can remember how I felt looking at this incredible window full of amazing plants, and there was a table in the middle with loads of pickled vegetables because they try and make everything locally produced and seasonal. And it was all rickety, old, mismatched chairs and table. The floorboards, everything about it was just beautiful. And it was very much my style, very old vintage, mix and match. They had giant swans. Oh my goodness, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know I love a swan. They had these giant wooden swans. I found where they're from since. They are so stunning. So I got really emotional. So when I'm flicking back through all my photos, I'm seeing and I tell you what, the other thing, sorry, I will move on in a second, but there were these jugs in the serving area, and they had jugs, and it was apple, celery and cucumber, apple, celery and cucumber juice in the most fugly jug you've ever seen, and I completely fell in love with it. I took loads of photos. I have been searching since March for something similar, and if you know me, I am a vintage shopper. I am at charity shops. I went to Ardingly for my birthday. I've done so many things like that. I cannot find a fugly enough jug. I'll have to find a photo and share it in the show notes. But this jug was just beautiful. So anyway, I just, that feeling, that emotional, that excitement of seeing somewhere that was so inspirational, and I just wanted to recreate some of it in like the way they laid out the tables and just everything about it was so lovely. I just really wanted to be able to recreate that on a shoot or in my home or somewhere like that. So reflecting on how that felt is very obviously, I mean, we're not going back to the pig anytime soon. It was super expensive. But that feeling of going away and being somewhere completely different that was really beautiful, wasn't a Premier Inn like it is when it's at work. It was really special, and I would love to do that again. I'd love to do that again. So that is why I like to reflect on personal kind of stories and things. Also, it's just really nice to see where you've been. We went to where did we go? Teignmouth. When the four of us went away, we went to Teignmouth, and there was a bit where we crossed over the river, and then when you come back, you see all the little picture perfect cottages and stuff, and that was really lovely as well. It's all those things that you're like, I want to go and do that again. I really enjoyed the feeling of driving over the bridge and seeing all these beautiful cottages and seeing the boat races, and yeah, it's those things. It's really important to stop and have thinking time, but to be surrounded by such beautiful places is really great. So sorry, that was quite a long detour into what I'm supposed to be talking about right now. Right, back to it. Getting back to how we start slowly in January. So the other main reason I like to start slowly is because it avoids overwhelm. It's really easy to get overwhelmed. It's really easy for work to kind of pile up and all the personal commitments to pile on top of each other. So it's really good to just start slowly and just give yourself a little bit of breathing space. And also, I managed to overcommit myself quite a lot. I know I need to say no a lot more this year, mainly outside of work. I've been doing this a really long time. I know how long I need to set up a shoot. I know I need a day between. I know I need to unwind after a 5-day shoot. Especially if I have to drive really far. If I've done like 200 miles, I know I shouldn't book anything in for the following day. I know that is too much for me. That's overwhelm. But the personal projects where I'm overcommitted in a couple of things outside of work, and that impacts everything. And I don't want that to happen. November, December was just bonkers for me, absolutely bonkers. So I'm just making sure that the overwhelm stays at bay by starting slowly and being really conscious of what I'm saying yes to. Another reason it's really important to wait until you're ready is, well, let me put it like this. When was the last time you put yourself first? We have so many commitments. We have family members. Maybe you've got older parents. Maybe you've got young children. Maybe you've got a demanding dog. Yes, Alan Taylor, I am talking to you. But the big one is always work. Work comes first. When you're a freelancer, work comes first so often. And by easing into the year, you can put yourself first, and you can kind of make sure that your focus is where you want it to be, not on everything and everyone else around you. Actually, I can put this into an example. I can give an example. I was talking to a coach this week. Calls don't count when they're chatty and they're like your mates. It's like chatting to your mate. It's also like a verbal brain dump. I always say to my coach, are you ready for this? ADHD brain about to download onto you. So I was talking to a coach, and I mentioned that I might do my vision board book workshop. Now, I've done my vision board book workshop in person. I did that a couple of years ago. And then I created it as a downloadable course so you can follow along the course. But I was thinking, I'd really quite like to run it again online. I've been thinking this for quite a long time. And the moment it came out of my mouth, I started thinking, okay, I need to do social media. I need to write a blog post. I need to do this. I need to do that. And I thought, hang on a minute. I don't know if I want to do that yet. And when I ran the course, I actually ran it like in the workshop in person. I ran it in February, and it felt for me like it was the perfect time. And I just had to pause myself and say, this is going too fast, too early for you. You are not ready for this because you do not really, your heart has to be in something like that. And in it to share it with other people, but in it for, am I ready to write down what my goals are for 2025? And I'm not. I haven't thought about it enough yet. I haven't planned it enough yet. And I absolutely love my vision board book workshop. I love my vision board book. I flick back now. I've been doing it for about 3 or 4 years. So I have one book and I just turn over a couple of clean pages and then I'll write 2025, 3 top goals, and it's big goals for the whole year. And then they can be broken down into little sections, maybe quarterly. This is what I think I'm going to do this year. I think I'm going to do quarterly. And then you put new images on and new post-it notes, new ideas, new quotes, new all of the bits and pieces. And I'm just not ready. I've got blank pages. On my vision board book sits by my bedside table. So when I get up in the morning, it's the first thing I see. And I've just got, actually, this is quite funny. I've just got open pages and a menu that I took from a fish restaurant in Plymouth when I did a shoot down in Plymouth. I asked, as we left, they're beautiful. They were painted fish, and it was just really bright and really vibrant. As we left, I said to the waitress, "Excuse me, do you mind if I take one of these menus?" And she said, "No problem, no problem." And then we got a car back to the hotel, and one of the crew had also taken one, which I probably shouldn't be sharing, but just seeing that menu sitting by my bedside table every day just makes me smile. And that's what your vision board book should be. It should be making you smile. Anyway, I will let you know if I'm going to run it. I might run it. We'll see how we go. We see how the rest of January pans out, because I have got quite a lot going on outside of work. Okay, so let's talk about some things to do for January if you're starting slow. So the best thing to do with January is to think of it as a slow month and a month of reflection. Don't put any pressure on doing anything big. Just keep things really, really simple. Just do them nice and slow. Take your time. Go at your pace. I always recommend taking a notebook with you. I have a tiny handbag, so if that's the case, I put little post-it notes in my bag because it's really good to have somewhere to jot things down. And I don't know why, but it just feels nice to write them down rather than put them in your phone, because the moment they go in your phone, they get lost in the ether and you never really find them. So always have a notebook ready to just jot something down if you think of it, whether it's to call someone or to contact someone or an idea you've got for some work you want to do. Just have a pen ready to jot down ideas, because you think you'll remember, but now when you're in kind of calm zone, you're just, an idea popped in my head, I'll write it down. But if you come back to it in 2 weeks' time, the chances are you won't remember it. So just write it down. And if it's on a post-it note, you can stick it on the wall. And if it's in a book, you won't lose it. And if you are feeling a little bit inspired and itching to get on with something, but you don't want to go too big, you want to start nice and small, why don't you do a mind map? As I wrote this whole blog post about what we're talking about today. I think I'm going to do a video on how I do mind maps, because I absolutely love them. In fact, I've got a friend who's going to be taking a group I'm in. She's going to be showing how she does it, and that I might wait for her and then use her ideas with her permission, of course. But yeah, drop down a mind map and just get everything out of your brain. Do a total brain dump. Get everything down. This is a little bit like having the notebook, but actually by having everything focused from one central point. So a mind map, you might have, like, for example, I'm about to do my living room. I'm going to decorate my living room. So I might write living room in the center, and then I might write all the words that evoke the feeling I want my living room to have. I might have another one that goes out and says wallpaper. I'm looking for blue. I'm looking for damask. I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. Another one might be curtains. Another one might be I want it to feel cozy, or maybe I want it to feel fresh. Just brain dump everything down there. Or it might be how you want to approach content, or a blog post, or features you want to write. It could be absolutely anything, but just by mind mapping it, it gets it out of your brain. You've got it in front of you, and it's almost like it's like a second brain. Have a second brain, so when you come to it, you've got ideas there. And if you remember things you wanted to add, you just add them afterwards. I love mind maps. I think they're really, really useful tools. And start small. So the mind map is a really good way of getting your ideas down, but maybe you want to do something without going too big. Don't feel you have to write a massive 10,000 word feature. Just do a list. Do a list of maybe some ideas of reels you want to shoot from around your home, or gather up some photos ready from shoots that you've done, or features that you've written, and just get them ready to share either on your portfolio, on your page on Inside Stylist. Maybe you want to put them on socials. Just start small. So, for a very quick 10-minute podcast episode, I seem to have waffled on quite a long time. This is because I've done this like 6 times now, and I am actually not sure what I've included and what I haven't included. You know when you say something and then you can't remember if you've already said it? So if I'm repeating, let me just apologise now, but tell you I'm not back to work yet. My brain isn't working yet. So just excuse that for the time being. And you can look forward to an interview I recorded in November next week that will make a lot more sense, because I was so in work mode in November. It didn't take me till November. Anyway, that's it for now. If you have anything you would like to add, how do you start your January? Are you feeling like going slow? Are you kind of thinking about getting back? You're not quite there. Are you gung-ho? Have you already done a shoot? I've seen some people doing shoots, and I have to admit, half of me thinks, oh my God, they're working already. And the other half thinks, oh my God, they're working already. Let me know. I'd love to know what you think about starting slower in January. But by the way, whatever you're doing, have a great 2025.